That's all I got. That's all I got. 2, I'm a big dude. I'm probably 260 plus. For all my football coaches out there, I bench 365, squat 550, and deadlift 425 maybe. So if you can, recruit me. Just kidding, not really, but kind of. But anyways, dude, pull-ups are hard. They hard, man, even for a big fella. And man, even for skinny fellas. And the guys who can do muscle ups, I don't know if you ever watched them, but they start here, and they go up and over, and then they push themselves up, and then they go down. And that's a lot. That's mentally and physically tough. You know, it's just tough for a big fella as I'm out of breath. But anyways, good morning. This is Coach Morris, aka your favorite youth pastor, once again with another video talking about physical grit or physical toughness. You know, for me, one of the toughest things as an athlete and as a coach, as someone who's supposed to teach and demonstrate, pull-ups are something that I cannot do hardly. In the process of making these videos, this is like my 4th try, so I've done like 4 pull-ups, and each time it's getting harder and harder. But it takes a physical grit, it takes a physical toughness to know that I'm lifting my body weight up and over and trying to do a pull-up or whatever. But there's 2 examples in scripture that when I think of physical toughness, these are 2 guys that in a sense, I want to be alike, or I want to be that example. They're both in the Old Testament. One is Samson in Judges, and then the other one's called, that guy's called Benaiah, or Ben. I'm gonna call him Ben, but his name is spelled Benaia, or no, hold on, Benaiah. Anyways, I'll post him on the screen. Talk about him first. He's found in 2 Samuel 23. And basically the backstory behind this, or behind him, is he has like this meeting with King David himself, and he's almost, in a sense, like in an interview, kind of like an interview process, to be one of David's like mighty warriors, to be one of David's like bodyguards type people. And in this process, as you're reading through scripture, it talks about David's already bodyguards. They're called the 3 mighty warriors, and in this it tells the stories, or it tells like their amazing feats of what they done. Like one guy, he went into battle when everybody else retreated, and he stood his ground and like killed maybe 300 people or something like that for his nation. And then the other 2 guys, they do stuff similar. When everybody else retreats, they stood up and fought for their nation. And then it also talks about in there how these 3 guys, they're in a battle, and King David said, "I'm thirsty." So not only are they going into battle as everybody's retreating, they go and get a cup of water for David behind enemy lines and bring it back. So not only are you fighting, you're fighting through enemy lines, getting the cup of water, getting the jar of water, whatever they got, and they come back to King David. Like, that takes toughness. You got to be tough. You got to be physically strong, physically tough, mentally tough, to be able to not only fight but do something and then go back through all that stuff. Like, that is being physically tough. And so these 3 guys are what this guy Ben, for short, is going up against. And it says this guy Ben, he fought an Egyptian who had a spear. So he fought a giant Egyptian. So that kind of goes back to David and Goliath. Goliath being 10 foot, 11 foot tall or whatever. So he fights this Egyptian who has a spear and he has a club. And the scripture says he took the dude's own spear from him and killed him with it. And then what gets crazier is that scripture says in 2 Samuel 23 how this guy fought a lion on a snowy day in a pit. Like, if that doesn't scream physical toughness, I don't know what will. Like, that is legit. That is pretty darn cool. Because think about it, you're in pit, you're in darkness, The pit's a pit. It's kind of self-explanatory. And then you got the aspect of snow. We don't get a lot of snow in Arkansas, but when we do, it messes up our roadways. Causes ice and stuff like that. So you can imagine you're in a dark place. It's snowing. There's probably some ice in that pit. Your footholds, your battle stance, or whatever you want to call it, your fighting stance, is probably not the best. And then on top of that, you got a lion, and yet he says he takes down this lion inside of a pit on a snowy day. Like, that screams toughness to me. And like, I want to be that guy. Like, that is legit. That is cool to know that, like, I took down this lion as well as these other people as I'm trying out, or as I'm kind of like interviewing for King David, to be his bodyguard, be his right-hand man, dude. So that is just one example of toughness or physical grit in Scripture. And the next one is Samson. We all know about Samson. The Lord blessed him in many ways. Just some of the stuff he did is just unbelievable. Like, he took out an entire army with the jawbone of a donkey. He's in there in Justice. He talks about how he got a couple of foxes and tied their tails together and lit them on fire and then let them go. He did all these amazing feats of strength. We ultimately know that Samson himself messed up and told Delilah his secrets and got his hair cut and his eyes gouged out and stuff like that. But even through that failure, even through him realizing he messed up, the Lord still used him. God still used him. And his last physical strength, or last physical toughness, when you have no power within yourself, totally relying on God, there's pictures and the kids' Bibles and stuff of him, doing the, I guess, in strongman it's called like the Hercules pose or whatever. I think of it as Samson pose, as he's stretched out and he's pulling the pillars down. Like, that takes a physical toughness to be able to, or just a physical strength in general, to be able to pull that stuff down. And ultimately, you sacrifice yourself in that situation. But anyways, it was all for God's glory. We got to keep that in mind. I don't like necessarily saying killing people's cool, because it's not. Don't get me wrong. Coach Morris, youth pastor, Brady Morris, it's not telling you go kill people. That's not cool. Don't do that. No. But we see in Scripture, God uses us, and God's able to, use our abilities, such as Ben and Samson. Their abilities was physical strength and physical toughness. And I think the Lord wants us to have that physical toughness in today's society. More and more as we live through this pandemic, more and more the church is getting persecuted. We're getting told what to do and how to do it and when to do it. There's churches getting shut down by the government. There's churches getting shut down by COVID because of whatever, and it's a true physical grit. It's a true physical fight to be able to come to church and to get what you need to get done spiritually. Whether that's being, whether that's your Sunday school, whether that's your worship time, whatever it may be, it's a physical toughness, it's a physical fight, to get up, come to church, and get Jesus. And I think, and I want this to be an encouragement. Sorry, I got an itch behind my ear. I want this to be encouragement. I want this to be, an opportunity for you to go and see this video and then to go participate in your church. Whether that's you serving, whether that's you just being in the parking lot, paying attention, listening, do what you got to do to get Jesus in, and be physically and mentally tough today as you are seeking, as you are searching the Lord. Be diligent and be focused. Oh, my last thing here. To have physical grit, to be physical tough, it takes a lot, but I kind of narrowed it down in my own words into let's say like 3 things. Your attitude. When you are a physically tough person, when you have physical grit, it's all about the attitude. It's all about your confidence. No matter whether it's a pull-up that I can barely do, or whether it's, an issue in my life, the attitude I have towards that, the way I address that issue or that tribulation or that trial or that, whatever it is, the attitude I have, I got 2 choices. I can either have a positive attitude or I can have a negative attitude. Because of my attitude, because of that, whether I have a positive or a negative, it's going to determine the outcome of that situation. So to be able to have a good attitude, a positive attitude, is going to make you physically tough. 2 is your perspective, the way you look at things, which kind of goes into more of a mental thing. But your mental and your physical, or like they're hand in hand, they go key and key. You know what I'm saying? So the way you look at it, the way you perceive it through your eyes about that situation, about that problem, is going to determine your attitude, which is going to affect the outcome of that. So the way you see things and the attitude you have about it and about yourself is going to determine how tough you are, both physically, mentally, and spiritually. The last thing I would say that it takes to be physical, to have a physical grit, to have a physical toughness about you, is perseverance. When life hits you hard, or when life knocks you down, what are you willing to do? What are you going to do to get back up and bounce back and do what you got to do? But anyways, that's Coach Morris, or this. That is Coach Morris. I just want to encourage you to be physically tough, be mentally tough, and be spiritually tough in these times that are, that are trouble, and we're getting attacked, we're getting persecuted as Christians. Man, it's our time to shine. It's our time to step up and be tough, and it's our time to take our country back. Love you guys.